In January of 2025, I made a post up on X at the very peak of the meme coin mania, calling out that most meme coins were what they were, scam tokens. Very quickly, the mob rallied, came together, and attacked me, calling me sidelined, calling me a boomer, calling me uneducated. What the mob showed were the characteristics of a cult that were fighting and willing to die to protect their ideas. And this right here is a great representation of the state of Web3 marketing as of 2025. Marketing in Web3 in 2025 is a lot more based on cult creation and engineering sentiment than it is on sticking with traditional marketing fundamentals. And guess how cults are built and sentiment is shaped? Through mass market propaganda. And in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you the 6 steps that you need to know to create a movement, build a narrative, and engineer sentiment around your project. And yes, this video is about engineering propaganda because fundamentally in Web3 and in crypto, it is a winner takes all industry where the winners end up getting all the rewards right here. And then for every winner, you end up having hundreds of losers that were never able to get any traction and were never able to create anything meaningful out of their marketing. Very rare are we to see projects that are in the middle ground right here, where they half succeed, half fail. It's a winner take all, where the sentiment is either in your favor or you are not able at all to create sentiment, to rally the troops, to create a cult around your project, and you end up just like most projects out there, non-existent and irrelevant. And the reason I make these videos after building a multi-7-figure Web3 marketing agency and having worked with some of the top projects, the top launches, is because I'm sick and tired of seeing well-intentioned founders with good products launch and market in an industry that they do not understand. So this video is the honest truth of what it takes to launch a successful project in Web3. What I'm about to share with you is going to put power in your hands. And power is a neutral term. It can be used for good and for the bad. But I make these videos because I know that the people that watch this channel are the ones that are here to build the future of this industry, that have great aspirations and want to build big products. But the first step, if you want to compete in Web3, is to understand the rules of the game. And it all starts with step 1, which is to speak to people's greed. And I recently saw this on the timeline from a project that recently took over the entire timeline. Every single person was talking about that project. They had 75% mindshare, which means that 3 out of 4 people on the timeline were talking about this project. The moment this project started to gain massive traction, the moment the timeline flipped from it being just another hyped project to it being the most spoken about project. For those that are curious, I'm talking about the Loud token. The moment this pivot happened is when there started to be speculation about regarding upside return. Most people didn't care about that project until people started throwing big numbers about what this token has the potential to be. And if you were to invest $100 into the pre-sale, or it was $30, something like this, that they would be able to make $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. So in an instant, 100x on their money. The moment there was the perception of asymmetric gains, did everyone start to pay attention? The reality of things is Web3 participants are like radars. They're always looking, they're always scouting the marketplace, trying to find the next big thing. But just like sharks, the moment they see the potential for money right here, everyone is going to rally around that project. And this explains why this industry is a winner's takes all. So the question is, how do you speak to people's greed? And there are 2 ways of doing this. The first one is showing past history of gains. Just remember the meme coin mania. price go up and people making money is the best marketing vehicle. The moment there were these screenshots and these stories of someone turning $100 into $1 million and someone turning $500 into $10 million, everyone started paying attention to meme coin. There was a proof of past history about that certain narrative. And this also applies in the project. Same thing applied during the previous bull market. Same thing applied during the NFT craze when people were flipping Bored Apes from thousands of dollars to hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's the same fundamentals that are repeating, just with different products, with different narratives that are circulating. And this is the first step, being able to show past performance of gains. Now, if you don't have the ability to do this because you are still pre-launch, this is where you have the ability to create the perception of asymmetric gains. Perception of asymmetric gains is oftentimes creating by leveraging authorities and celebrities. That is why the whole celebrity meme coin meta happened, because all of a sudden you had a hot narrative combined with what seemed like an influencer. So there was all of a sudden the perception of asymmetric rewards, because if this meme coin right here that is just a frog picture was at this market cap, then this celebrity must definitely be over that. So there was a delta and people were here to fill that delta. That is why oftentimes for projects that are still pre-launch, having the ability to associate yourself with a well-known figure, with someone that is a celebrity, that is trusted, with a tier 1 exchange, all of a sudden will create that perception of asymmetry. So that is why in Web3 marketing, whatever you're doing, oftentimes you want to associate yourself with already trusted people. You want the brand association. And hence why I often talk about the founder funnel, which is becoming that person of trust and becoming that person of authority. And in an ideal world, when you have the ability to combine the two, do you have something that has explosive potential? And this brings us to step number 2 of the propaganda machine, which is creating a common enemy. If you notice, every big project, every strong narrative, they all have a common enemy. If we are to go back to meme coins, a big reason why meme coins were so popular were because they were the anti-VC narrative. So all the VC-backed tokens were just crumbling and not succeeding, while the meme coins were the new narrative because people felt empowered all of a sudden. It was the anti-VC narrative. Same thing with the Loud token. If we are to bring that example up again, Loud. In their launch ad, the enemy was highly funded projects that forced their way into narrative but never were able to do this. For example, the Loud token that I just spoke about, the launch trailer that they had, the narrative was anti-funding. They were painting the picture of how all these projects that raise money and try to buy their way into the narrative, into the timeline, all of a sudden get disrupted by a project that was here for the people. The people's token. And then not too long ago, for example, so Loud also fits right here within the anti-VC narrative. Then we had the anti-exchange. This was very popular, especially at the beginning of this year, when people started painting exchanges as the bad guys who are just here to enrich themselves, while tokens that were just launching on dexes, so without exchanges, were outperforming tokens launched by exchanges that would often dump right after being listed. So projects that were able to hitchhike and lead that narrative were all of a sudden able to gather the troops and create an army of people around them. We have narratives like anti-cabal as well. So the cabal, the people who own the attention, own all the insider information. The anti-cabal, huge narrative as well that happened this year. Any project that was able to latch onto this, they were able to rally the troops around them. So if you're trying to create a movement, which one do you have and which one do you not have? For example, let's say you do not have access to tier 1 exchanges. Leveraging the narrative, creating that common enemy, and actually using your lack of access to those, or the fact that you were rejected or cannot afford some of these exchanges, use that as your narrative. If you do not have access to the cabal or are not part of the cabal, use that as your antithesis. Most here I know are now VC funded. That can be a way to rally the troops. Create a common enemy is an easy way to rally the troops and create an army around you. Which brings us to step number 3, which is to manufacture social proof. Most of the time, People do not know how to make up their mind alone about a product. They do not know how to judge if this is something good or something bad. Instead, people look to the behavior of others. They look to others' opinion to know if, is this good or is this bad? Should I be happy about this announcement or should I be fighting this announcement? So oftentimes, before even launching the product, before even launching the announcement, creating and showing the perception that this is something good that is going to be coming out. My really good friend Kevin from Final Bosu, who had a spectacular launch recently, one of the ways they did it is before announcing the trailer of the product, they got testimonials from people and that were recorded. So then they created a trailer for the trailer where everyone was like, oh my God, this is great. This is incredible. Look at the quality of this. So they manufactured the sentiment before even launching the actual announcement. Same thing can be done for the white papers that you're about to launch. Same thing can be done for the website that you're launching. Same thing can be done for any announcement that you're creating. Manufacture a sense of social proof that this is great. So you are front running. So you get to front run the sentiment that is created the moment you drop. Because the moment you drop something, people are going to be looking. They're like, cool, what does that mean? What should I be feeling right now? So a way of manufacturing social proof is showing screenshots of other people telling how great this is and how amazing and how revolutionary this is. Collecting testimonials. Highlighting certain moments. I recall, for example, before Loud launched and before even making their first post, people were started seeing on the timeline all these big influencers saying that I just hopped off a call with the founder and oh man, this is amazing. This is great. These guys are about to change the industry. So these are examples of manufacturing social proof that will all create gasoline so that once the actual announcement drops, it's a home run. Step number 4 of making a propaganda machine is giving people an identity. When you think of cults, cults are ideas that end up becoming people's identities. And the way you manufacture identity is through symbols, slogans, and colors. That is how you manufacture identity. When you think of slogan, if you think of My Lady, we have Retardio. When you think of Loud Token, for example, we had the Laudios. They were hitchhiking on the Retardio. You can think of D-Gods during their heydays. They had the people would change their name. They would put next to their name the 33. You have people putting the emoji, so certain emojis next to their names. These are all symbols that represent who you are as an individual. Then we have slogans. Again, going back to Final Bosu, they have against all odds. We have Good Vibes Club, for example, partners of ours as well, who had a spectacular launch. For them, it was let's LFV, let's freaking vibe. Bored Apes, they had Ape Together Strong. Mog, they have the word Mog. Then, for example, we have colors. A great example of this is Abstract. They had a very successful marketing campaign where they had everyone change their background of their PFP green. So the abstract green. We had projects like Jirasan with paint the town red. All the backgrounds were red. Then under colors, you have logos and everything else. And which is why, by the way, NFTs are the strongest way at building a cult, because you're literally giving people the symbols, the slogans, and the colors that they can use to represent themselves as a PFP. That's why NFTs are the best cult creation tool that has ever existed. Remember, people follow flags, not features. Then we move on to step number 5, which is manufacture scarcity. And as part of your launch, if everyone can access your product, no one wants access to it. People value what is scarce. People value what others do not have access to. And this means creating scarcity as part of your product. For example, going back to the Loud token, only the top 1,000 people in the leaderboard that they had the ability to buy into the pre-sale. Previously, meme coin token pre-sales were open for everyone. So it was like a Solana wallet, send funds. That was a pre-sale. Now, what they did is they did this with scarcity attached to it. So only the top 1,000 people had the ability to invest. Imagine how crazy. The top 1,000 people had the ability to invest in a product, not the ability to receive for free. That is the power of scarcity, when you have the ability to attach it to something else. Then we have something like Ethos, which is a Web3 platform. They were very selective about the invite codes at the beginning. So anyone who had an invite was very scarce. It was very valuable. And I remember people on the timeline were raffling invite codes, and we're getting thousands of views and thousands of impressions because a lot of people wanted in on the platform. So Ethos invites. Then we have the concept of limiting certain pre-sales to certain roles on Discord. So certain roles, this is very common, by the way, especially lately. Certain roles get you certain pre-sale spots or no pre-sale at all. It gets more expensive for every different pre-sale round that you enter. That's a way of manufacturing scarcity. And then step number 6, which relates perfectly to what I just said about pre-sales, which is create hierarchy. As humans, we are hierarchy species. We are nothing but evolved monkeys. And people are always finding ways to show where they are in the hierarchy ladder or to show that they are above that. Just think, as we're speaking right now, there's the whole Labubu doll trend. If you guys haven't seen it, it's an ugly doll that people are attaching to their purses, especially women. But the reason why it's become so popular is because it started with a celebrity wearing it, and all of a sudden it signals status, and now everyone wants to do it. So now anyone who has a Labubu wants to post about it. Think about every luxury brand, every luxury car, any status symbol that shows where you are in the hierarchy. Same thing applies in Web3 marketing. When you give people a leaderboard, this is leaderboards is a concept we've seen, especially in the last 12 months of Web3 marketing. You give them a leaderboard, and when people are in the leaderboard, they want to screenshot, they want to show that to others, therefore creating more social proof. There's this tool, Cookie 3, that recently they launched a new feature that shows social circles. So who is within your social circle? And the reason this became popular is because people wanted to see whose social circles were they on. Because I'm there on that big influencer social circle. So it made everything so much more shareable. And then we have the reason why Kaito is so popular as we speak right now in Web3 is because it allowed for people to highlight their real reach, their real account health using data and using AI. So it shows you your smart follower count, and it shows you how smart of a content creator you are versus type of shit poster, if you're more of a reply guy or not. These are all things that highlight who you are as a creator, and because of that, it oftentimes made the right types of people look good, and that made them want to share it on the internet. And this right here, step number 6, ties into a great concept from a book called Contagious that I read close to 8 years ago now, which says about why things go viral. And one of them says that anything that is built to show is built to grow, especially if it makes people look good. So for you, one way to architect and engineer propaganda is make it easy for people to show where they stand in the social hierarchy. Don't just give them the ability to screenshot. Give them the ability to copy an image, write then and there, and post it on their X directly. Give them a button that allows them to share it directly on their X. Make it easy for them, and even tell them to do it. People don't. That's why a lot of YouTubers, they tell their viewers, don't forget to subscribe, because people need the call to action to make the action. So make it easy for people to share and even give them the call to action. So ladies and gentlemen, the 6 pillars of manufacturing propaganda. Number 1, speak to people's greed. Number 2, create a common enemy. 3, manufacture social proof. 4, give people an identity that they can latch onto. Number 5, manufacture scarcity. And 6, create hierarchy. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you use these tools the right way. You were just given something really powerful that with it, you can create a movement, or you can also become the most hated person in the industry. I'm Leon Aboud, and I'll see you in the very next video. Cheers.